Hi there. I hope you're well. Just wanted to do a quick presentation today to be able to discuss and analyze some of the stakeholder conversations that we've been having with regards to conversations for the offbeat. Um, Today, I'll be just deep diving into two topics and hope that that gives you a little bit more insight. The first being how communication and collaboration is used to not only manage stakeholder interests, but how that helps the project succeed overall. So obviously, it's inevitable that communication and collaboration are really important factors when you're managing stakeholders and when you're ensuring the success of a project that's being completed. So initially, communication will always sort of happen initially. This takes place in order to identify who your stakeholders are and identify their interests in the project. So every stakeholder will have different interests, and it's important to identify what these are. It'll help identify also the stakeholders' roles, their responsibilities, and also their level of influence that they've got within the project. It'll help you to identify your clear objectives at the start and help you align the interests of the stakeholders to ensure everyone's on the same page and wants the same outcome. Um, Within the project scope and while the project is happening, it's always good to have regular collaborative meetings between stakeholders and people involved. This ensures that the project sort of continues with regular updates and regular conversations that are being had. This includes feedback sessions, which are really important. This will allow the stakeholders to feel more involved. They feel up to date. They can express concerns. Solutions can be found to these concerns and any issues that arise. And it'll reassure the stakeholders' interests, make sure they are happy with how things are going and the overall sort of success of what's been done at that point. Um, Overall, this sort of falls into the category of open communication, which is really, really important. This just allows everyone to build trust, especially obviously among stakeholders that have different interests and play different parts. It's good that everyone trusts each other, everyone voices any concerns or issues that they have quite openly, and then solutions can be found to these concerns really quickly. This is also, I mean, to make a point about transparency, it's really important to have this as it keeps all the expectations sort of standard and you learn lessons throughout if everyone's transparent and open with any issues that are coming about. It avoids room for disappointment and major issues that are going to fall then along the line. Ultimately, it'll help your timeline, it'll help the overall success of the project, budgets, things like that. Um, it's really important also in resolving conflict. So conflict resolution is obviously a massive point to make within the communication and collaboration. It's really important that it has the space for solutions to be found, and the only way this will happen is if there's open communication between stakeholders. So overall, obviously, this just highlights why these points are so important and how communication and collaboration are really your key foundations in a project and its overall success. Um, I'll just move on to the next slide. So obviously, there are many different stakeholders within any project. Some of these being, for example, local authorities, investors, contractors, FF&E people. There's loads and loads of different people that are always invested in a project, no matter how small or how big. So I thought I would just run you through some of the different ways that stakeholders' decisions could affect a project's, the overall outcome of the project at the end and how these decisions will affect it in either way. So overall, the decisions stakeholders make will at some point affect a project at varying levels, depending on what their decision is. But it will always have some sort of effect on the project. It's important to be able to deal with these problems and these decisions effectively and within the best interest of the project overall. Obviously, a great way to do this is having effective communication and collaboration within all stakeholders in the team. This is sort of the best way to make decisions and have any issues or problems ironed out really quickly and effectively. So just to run you through a few examples of sort of decisions any stakeholders might make and how we can sort of work around this and improve this or work around these issues. So for example, a contractor who is on site may make the decision to not act until discussing any planned actions with a project manager. This will obviously cause a bit of a bottleneck because things will be delayed. If they can't act without a project manager, then things will be done very, very slowly, and it'll obviously affect the overall timeline for the project. So, an example for a solution to this problem would be just to introduce a clear communication strategy. You introduce sort of forward-thinking decision making, and allow the contractor to, within reason, make their decisions effectively, and have faith that they will make decisions appropriately. Again, this will eliminate the process of having bottlenecks, and we want the process to move as smoothly as possible. So that's just one example. Another example would be with the local authority. So local authority may decide that they are going to decline the planning permission for the building without speaking to the team. This is a really big issue. If this happens, the project can't really move forward without having extreme reputational damage. And obviously, you don't want your local authority not being supportive of the building going forward. So it's a really big issue or decision that will affect the project massively. One solution to sort of avoid this problem is that you engage with the planning permissions and the local authority earlier on. This ensures that you've got ample time to iron out any concerns or problems or issues that the local authority might have, and make them feel reassured that this building will be in their best interest. And then you can get sort of planning permission earlier on, and everyone has peace of mind that this project is good to go ahead of time, and it's not last minute rushing and things like that. Another example would be a client that could change their mind about the design of the project during its actual construction. So this is not uncommon. As construction happens, it's typical that clients may start to think about other design. They might see something they like better. They may see things in person and actually maybe not like it too much. So this is not an uncommon decision that's being made. However, this does affect the project massively because it doesn't just creep up on your timelines, it'll also affect your budget. This is a problem that we call the scope creep. So to somewhat avoid this problem, it is good to define your scope early on and obviously sign this off and have this, really clear and ironed out before the project actually starts in construction. By doing this, you will be able to explain to the client any implications that they might have if they do want to change their mind in terms of timeline and budget. And hopefully this will give everyone a little bit more of an understanding on the implications of anyone making decisions throughout the process and sort of changing their mind on design related topics. The last example that I have is an investor for the project that could cut funding during sort of the construction phase of the project. This obviously affects the budget massively, and this will affect the overall quality of the building, the success of the project. It really affects the confidence and trust of the other stakeholders for this to happen so late on in the process. A good way to do this or to avoid this happening would be just to have the project manager really focused on monitoring the funding, costings, etc., throughout the process, and having really clear and transparent communication throughout. It'll allow any issues to be identified, addressed, and sort of solutions can be thought about earlier on, as opposed to the project running out of funds and then some really heavy, maybe VEing or effect on the quality and things like that could take place. So obviously you want to try and avoid that as much as possible. And yes, that's my little presentation. Just hope that explains things a bit better for you. And yeah, if you have any other questions, just let me know.